Tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, Donald Trump will walk into the Oval Office and address the nation about the Iran war for the first time since it began 33 days ago. That timing tells you almost everything you need to know. The President of the United States launched the largest American military operation in 20 years. Strikes that killed Iran's supreme leader, decapitated its entire military command, and triggered a global energy crisis, and waited more than a month to formally explain it to the American people. Tonight he finally talks, and the question every American needs to be asking before they watch is this: is this a victory speech, a ceasefire announcement, a delay tactic, or something else entirely? Because here is what we know right now, just hours before he speaks. Iran's president has reportedly asked for a ceasefire. Trump posted about it on Truth Social this morning, but Iran's own government has publicly denied it. A spokesperson for President Pezeshkian's office said Iran is determined to fight on. The IRGC declared this morning that the Strait of Hormuz is fully under its control, and a senior Iranian official told CNN that Trump's remarks tonight are not a reliable guide to what is actually happening, calling his statements a reflection of an unstable and eccentric personality. And then there is the NATO bombshell. Just hours before his speech, Trump told Reuters he is absolutely considering pulling the United States out of NATO, and that he will criticize the alliance in his address tonight. A primetime address about ending one war. That is also going to threaten the foundation of the most important military alliance in Western history. Stay until the end. Because the three scenarios for tonight's speech, what Trump is most likely to say, what it actually means, and what happens next, regardless of which path he takes, are not what most people are expecting. Let's start with where this war actually is right now, because the gap between the administration's public messaging and what is happening on the ground is wider than at any point since February 28th. Trump told reporters yesterday he expects the war with Iran to end in 2 weeks, maybe 3. He said the U.S.'s core objective of degrading Iran's military has largely been achieved. Defense Secretary Hegseth said the upcoming days will be decisive. By the military metrics of the air campaign, some of that is true. Iran no longer has a functioning navy. Its air force has been largely destroyed. Its ballistic missile arsenal has been dramatically reduced. Its entire top leadership, 3 successive layers of it, is dead. Over 6,000 Iranian targets have been struck. But here is what the air campaign has not achieved. The Strait of Hormuz is still closed. Iran approved a bill this week to charge vessels for crossing the waterway, essentially imposing a toll on the world's most important oil shipping lane. Oil is trading at over $112 a barrel. An estimated 20,000 seafarers are trapped on ships in an active war zone, some running low on food and water. Iran's Houthi allies in Yemen are escalating attacks on Israel. Hezbollah is still firing rockets from Lebanon. Iranian drones hit fuel depots at Kuwait International Airport just yesterday, triggering a massive fire. An Iranian missile struck a Qatari oil tanker this morning. 13 American service members have been killed. More than 1,500 Iranian civilians are dead, including 236 children, according to human rights monitors. The war is not over, and the thing Trump needs most, the opening of the Strait of Hormuz, has not happened. He said this morning he will only consider a ceasefire once the strait is reopened. Iran says it is fully in control of the strait and is charging ships to cross it. Those two positions are not close to each other. So what is tonight actually about? There are 3 real possibilities. The first scenario is a genuine off-ramp announcement. Pakistan has been mediating between Washington and Tehran for weeks. The foreign ministers of Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Egypt met in Islamabad over the weekend. Britain is hosting a virtual meeting tomorrow with 35 nations to find ways to reopen the strait. There are diplomatic channels in motion. It is possible, not certain, but possible, that some kind of framework has been agreed in back channels that the public does not know about yet. Under this scenario, tonight is Trump declaring victory on his own terms. Iran's military is destroyed, its nuclear program is set back, its leadership is dead, and now America is coming home. The strait reopens as part of a deal, gas prices fall, Trump's approval rating recovers. This is the scenario the White House wants you to believe is coming. Whether it is actually coming is a different question. The second scenario is deliberate ambiguity. Trump announces that the war is entering a new phase. He says the military objectives have been largely achieved. He signals that American forces will begin drawing down while some remain in the region. He gives himself 2 to 3 more weeks of runway. He frames this as strength, not withdrawal. He attacks NATO for failing to help. He threatens Iran with consequences if the strait is not reopened, and he leaves the door open for ground operations if necessary, without saying he will use them. This is the scenario that matches everything he has said publicly in the last 2 days. It gives him maximum flexibility. It allows him to claim progress without committing to a specific outcome. And it shifts the public focus from the casualties and the cost to the diplomatic momentum, which he will argue is real whether it is or not. The third scenario is the one nobody wants to say out loud. Trump announces a significant escalation. He threatens Iran's civilian energy infrastructure, which would raise serious questions under international law. He announces ground operations are authorized or imminent. He formally accuses Russia of helping Iran kill American soldiers and issues an ultimatum. He withdraws from NATO or announces a formal review. Any one of those moves tonight would send shockwaves through global markets, through allied capitals, and through the already stressed American political system. Hegseth said the upcoming days will be decisive. That word, and decisive, was chosen carefully. Now let's talk about the NATO dimension, because this is the part of tonight's speech that is getting almost no attention, and it deserves serious examination. And Trump told Reuters today he is absolutely considering withdrawing the United States from NATO. His reason: NATO allies failed to support the U.S. war in Iran and have not done enough to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. He said NATO has never been there when America needed it, and described the relationship as a one-way street. Think about what that means. 32 NATO member countries, a collective defense treaty that has kept Europe and North America out of major war for 80 years. And the President of the United States is floating withdrawal, on the same day he is addressing the nation about an ongoing hot war in the Middle East. The timing is not accidental. This is leverage. NATO allies, and particularly Britain, France, and Germany, have been critical of the Iran war, reluctant to provide military support, and publicly alarmed by its economic fallout. Britain's Prime Minister is hosting a crisis meeting tomorrow, specifically about reopening the Strait of Hormuz. The European Union has urged de-escalation. Trump's NATO threat tonight is a message to those governments. If you will not help us win this war, we will rethink the alliance that protects you. Whether he would actually follow through is a different question, but the fact that he is saying it publicly, hours before a primetime address, tells you something important about his negotiating posture going into whatever comes next. And then there is the question that the speech will not answer. The question that is most important for American families watching tonight. What happens to gas prices? Trump promised yesterday that once America leaves Iran, prices will come tumbling down. The current national average is approaching $4 a gallon. Goldman Sachs has said oil could stay above $100 through 2027. The Strait of Hormuz is still blocked. Iran just passed a law to charge ships for crossing it. Even if a deal is reached tonight, reopening the strait takes time. Vessels have to move. Tanker routes have to be restored. Insurance markets have to calm down. The idea that gas prices will fall dramatically in 2 to 3 weeks is not supported by how energy markets actually work. But Trump will say it tonight because it is the thing most Americans most want to hear. Here is what to watch for during the speech. If Trump announces a specific ceasefire framework with specific conditions, a real named deal with a timeline, that is a genuine development. Watch for concrete details. Which countries are involved, what Iran has agreed to, what the mechanism for opening the strait looks like. If Trump says the war is entering a new phase without specifying what that phase is, that is ambiguity. It means negotiations are ongoing but nothing is concluded. The war continues. If Trump announces ground operations, even limited ones, even framed as raids rather than invasion, That is a significant escalation. Watch the markets immediately after. If Trump formally attacks NATO during the speech, not just criticizes it, but threatens withdrawal or announces a review, that is a geopolitical earthquake that will dominate coverage for the next week, regardless of anything else he says. And if Trump says the war is over but Iran says it is not, which is the situation as of this afternoon, then tonight is theater. A speech designed to shift American public opinion without actually changing what is happening on the ground. A senior Iranian official told CNN today that Trump's remarks tonight are not a reliable guide to what is actually happening. He added that Iran's position remains unchanged. The Strait of Hormuz is still closed. American soldiers are still being wounded. The war is in its 33rd day. Whatever Trump says tonight, the world in the Persian Gulf will look the same tomorrow morning as it does right now, unless a deal has actually been made. And as of 2 p.m. Eastern Time today, there is no public confirmation that one has. The bottom line: tonight's speech is the most consequential address Donald Trump has given in his second term. He will be speaking to a country where his approval rating has fallen to 33%, where 8 million people just marched in the streets, where gas is $4 and food prices are up 20%, where 13 American soldiers have been killed in a war that began without a primetime address and ends, or doesn't, with one. Watch what he says. But more importantly, watch what Iran says within the next 6 hours. Because if Tehran does not confirm or respond positively to whatever Trump announces tonight, then nothing changes. The war continues. The strait stays closed. The price of everything stays high. And if that happens, if Trump declares victory and Iran says the war goes on, then the speech you watched tonight was not a turning point. It was a political performance designed to manage an American public that is running out of patience with a war it never fully understood when it began. I will be covering his full speech and everything that comes after: the Iranian response, the market reaction, the NATO fallout, and what it actually means for when and how this war ends. If you found this valuable, subscribe to Alex PS Insights and hit the notification bell. This story is moving by the hour, and I will be on it as it develops. See you on the other side of tonight's speech.